From the heart of South Asia to the crossroads of Central Asia, from the turbulent Middle East and North Africa to the power corridors of the West, where narratives collide, perspectives matter and stories connect. This is Beyond Borders and I am Umar Khalid. But during the course of the show, we'll bring you stories that connect the world without boundaries, without borders, and bring you stories that matter in this changing world. We'll begin with what we call the top stories of the day, or in our words, region lines. We start from an exclusive discussion on Pakistan-China strategic relationship, terrorism emanating from Afghanistan, and the future of China-Pakistan economic corridor. Moving on to the Middle East, Israeli forces continue violating the ceasefire by demolishing Palestinian homes in the Zaytun neighborhood, southeast of Gaza City, while simultaneously launching heavy airstrikes on the southern city of Khan Younas. Meanwhile, in the West, a deal aimed at ending the U.S. government shutdown has passed the Senate, paving the way for the record-breaking impasse to be broken. After a weekend of negotiations in Washington, a minority of Democrats joined with Republicans and voted in favor of the agreement. The vote is a procedural first step towards passing a compromise to fund the government since it ran out of money on the 1st of October. And lastly, the Director General of Britain's BBC, Tim Davie, and the Chief Executive of News, Deborah Turnus, have resigned following criticism over bias at the corporation, including in the way it edited a speech by the US President Donald Trump. We'll begin our conversation with the news that has just come in regarding New Delhi in India, where a blast has occurred, as a result of which we are hearing stories of around 8 people who have been killed and scores who've been injured. This is, of course, a developing story, and we'll be bringing you more details as it comes along. This has happened near the Red Fort in New Delhi in India. And of course, we'll be bringing you more details and exclusive information on details regarding this blast as soon as we get them ourselves here on Pakistan TV. Let's begin our show as well with South Asia. And of course, in South Asia, how can we not talk about the strategic alignment of Pakistan with China, our neighborhood country, our country that has been a friend, that has been a country that has been with us in the good and the bad times and has always backed us in all different arenas and spheres. Future of Pakistan-China friendship, new tensions and recalculations with India, and the very delicate triangle involving Pakistan and Afghanistan are going to be the focus tonight with our guest, Victor Gao, international analyst, former interpreter for Deng Xiaoping, and a leading voice on China's strategic worldview. Mr. Gao, welcome to the program, China-Pakistan Strategic Partnership. Now, Pakistan and China have described the relationship as higher than the Himalayas, deeper than the oceans. Today, that bond is now being strengthened by shared strategic goals. I'd like to understand something very important. This relationship that Pakistan and China have had, that has stood the test of time in moments of isolation and pressure, how does Beijing evaluate Pakistan's role today as a reliable regional stabilizer at a time where geopolitical polarization is intensifying?
Thank you very much. It's a great honor for me to be on your program, and I treasure this opportunity to speak to our brothers and sisters throughout Pakistan. China and Pakistan are truly unclad friends, and our cooperation not only goes as high or higher than the Himalayas, our cooperation goes all the way to space. And as we speak, there is a Pakistani taikonaut being trained for a space mission to come. And I think this is just one demonstration of the scope and the depth of the cooperation and friendship between China and Pakistan. I would say there will be nothing that China will not do to help defend the Pakistani sovereignty and territorial integrity. And China is fully prepared to share with the Pakistani brothers and sisters the best weapon, the best information, the best system that Pakistan may need to defend itself against domestic enemies or foreign enemies. This is not only a commitment, this is something we are doing right away. And I hope through China-Pakistani friendship and cooperation, the ironclad commitment to each other, the South Asian region itself will be a more peaceful place, a place where the Pakistanis and all the other people can commit to peace and stability and development and promote regional cooperation and integration better. So there is a lot of things that China and Pakistan can work together. And we were brothers and sisters in the past. We are true brothers and sisters now. And for millenniums to come, we will remain ironclad friends with each other.
The China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, Victor Gao, remains a central pillar of Pakistan's economic revival strategy. How does China view the phase 2 of CPEC, especially Pakistan's focus on industrial zones, technology transfer and agricultural modernization? And how soon do you feel can ordinary Pakistanis feel its tangible benefits?
Well, you may know China is really focusing very much on what we call new qualitative productivity, meaning every increase in efficiency and productivity need to be generated and driven by science and technological breakthroughs. For Pakistan, it is the same case. I think Pakistani governments and people will really devote on science and technology, especially when the whole world is being transformed and transformed through this AI revolution. I coined the term AI divide. Never find yourself on the wrong side of the AI divide. And AI should be open sourced, and every country should have a chance to participate in the AI transformation. And for Pakistanis, it is the right time to really get your sleeves rolled up and get fully involved in this AI transformation, and do it in an open source manner so that everyone in Pakistan will be able to participate in this. Only through this technological transformation will Pakistan be in a better position to fight off poverty, for example, as well as uplift people in all areas, including agricultural reform, industrial progresses, manufacturing excellence, and more importantly, equal opportunity for education for all, and excellence in science and technological innovation. In this regard, again, China and Pakistan should stand shoulder to shoulder and back to back when we are together working for innovative excellence in all respects, including in this AI transformation.
Now, Pakistan faces an India that is not only militarily expanding but also revising history, borders and diplomacy. Does Beijing believe that India's expansionist mindset is now a structural challenge to long-term Asian peace?
Well, one thing I find troubling is that India not only has territorial disputes with Pakistan or with China, but also has lots of other problems with almost all of its neighboring countries. In this regard, I would appeal on the Indian government and Indian people to use more rationality and more reason and more wisdom in dealing with its neighboring countries and come to amicable solutions of any and all territorial disputes with its multitude of neighboring countries, including with China. I've told people in India never treat the McMahon line drawn up by a British as if it were the final and binding border between China and India. China will never accept that. And China and India need to come to the negotiation table to talk about how to resolve this territorial dispute in amicable means, in peaceful means, rather than otherwise. Because China has already forced Britain to withdraw from Hong Kong and hand over Hong Kong back to China. China has overturned all the unequal treaties that the British Empire imposed on China, historically speaking. So how can anyone in India imagine that they will be in a position to impose something not done by the British Empire, not done by the British Indian Empire, but simply drawn by a middle-class British officer in the service of British Indian Empire, as if that's something that China need to swallow or China need to be forced to accept. Now, I use this as an example to show that the government and the people in India need to be more realistic. They need to deal with the new realities in the world of today And countries like China and Pakistan, individually or together, will never allow our sovereignty and territorial integrity to be encroached upon or threatened or violated by the Indian government and the Indian.
Victor Gao, we have seen strategic coordination between Pakistan and China on border stability, on security doctrines and deterrence. In your view, how essential is Pakistan's military and strategic balancing role in order to prevent South Asia from sliding into uncontrolled escalation?
Well, in South Asia as a whole, I think there are many threats, including, for example, terrorism and fundamentalism, especially those spilling out of Afghanistan. And Afghanistan has 6 neighboring countries, including both China and Pakistan. So I would urge that all the 6 neighboring countries of Afghanistan to come up with some collective framework so that we can deal with Afghanistan better and drive home the message that Afghanistan really needs to come up with a strategy for peace, stability, and a good neighborly relations with all its neighbors, including Pakistan. And Afghanistan should never be allowed to become a cradle of violence, extremism, terrorism, spilling over in multiple directions, either into Pakistan, and I understand the Pakistani military and the government are dealing with the pressure points along the Afghan border, or into China's Xinjiang autonomous region. I think this whole region should be a better region if Afghanistan is more acclimated to peace and stability and development. And in return, all the 6 neighboring countries can join hands together in helping the people in Afghanistan to upgrade themselves, to improve their living standards, and make sure that no one in Afghanistan will be left behind. And the root causes of terrorism and fundamentalism in Afghanistan can be addressed once for all.
All right, you talk of Afghanistan, Victor Gao. China has consistently supported Pakistan's right to defend itself against terrorism emanating from the Afghan soil. Now, how does, in your point of view, Beijing assess the willingness and the capacity of the interim Afghan government to control militant groups, particularly the TTP or the Fitna al-Khalij?
Well, there is a framework involving China and Pakistan and Afghanistan in a tri-party discussion and negotiations. That tripartite framework hasn't been very effective, especially in preventing the armed conflicts around the Pakistani and Afghanistan border, which is unfortunate. But I don't think we should give up hope. I think China can really play good office roles for the benefit of peace and stability and development, not only for Pakistan, but also for Afghanistan, and also for the bilateral relations between Afghanistan and Pakistan, to make sure that this whole region will be freed from terrorism, fundamentalism, and radicalization, for example. And I truly believe all the neighboring countries of Afghanistan, including Pakistan on the one hand, China on the other hand, and the other 4 neighboring countries, should join hands together to make sure that the message of peace and stability and development will be driven home to the Taliban leadership in Kabul, and the whole country of Afghanistan will be transformed into a peaceful country committed to maintaining domestic stability and international peace, living on equal terms with all its neighboring countries, and also really free itself from any elements of radicalization and extremism. That will make the Afghan people better and enable them to enjoy the benefits of modernization and industrialization and urbanization like people in all the other 6 neighboring countries are enjoying. And hopefully our region itself will be more peaceful and more stable for the benefit of all the people in this part of the world.
Now, the TTP issue is not only a security threat, but a strategic threat to regional connectivity projects like the CPEC and Belt and Road routes into Afghanistan. What joint political pressure or regional guarantees do you feel could be realistically mobilized to change ground realities?
Well, I'm always an optimist. You know, when I look at Afghanistan, in the best case scenario, Afghanistan can really be a connectivity hub, linking from the east to the west, for example, from the Wakhan corridor in China all the way to Iran in the west, and then from north to the south, linking Central Asia through Afghanistan to Pakistan and then down to the Indian Ocean. In that capacity, Afghanistan can not only play such a useful traffic hub for all the neighboring countries and beyond, but also generate huge amount of profit and income for the benefit of the Afghan people. Now, how can you achieve that? You need to maintain domestic stability inside Afghanistan. And Afghanistan should no longer be generally taken as a haven for all kinds of terrorist groups. And Afghanistan should commit to stability at home, peace with its neighbors, and commitment to development as the hard truth. Now, that will involve sometimes a change of mentality, a change of looking at yourself as well as all your neighboring countries. But I think if the goal is to make sure the Afghan people will enjoy all the benefits, I truly believe the Afghan people will have no reason why not to promote peace and stability and development, and why not to engage with all the neighboring countries for peace and for prosperity with all. That is the challenge for Afghanistan. That is the challenge for all the 6 neighboring countries of Afghanistan, including Pakistan and China, and that is the challenge for this whole region. We need to do our homework to make sure that this part of the world will be a peaceful, stable region dedicated to development for the benefit of all the people in our region.
Now, if Pakistan and China stay aligned in your point of view, Victor Gao, strategically, economically and diplomatically, as we've seen since the last few decades, what new regional order do you believe will emerge in the next decade?
Well, according to my personal vision, this region should be peaceful and stable and committed to development. And this region as a whole, as well as in pockets of these regions, for example, inside Afghanistan, this region as a whole should be free from radicalization, extremism, and terrorism. And we need to come up with a scheme and a framework to root out the root causes of terrorism and radicalization. And I hope all the kids in this region will enjoy going to school. They will learn things. Boys and girls will go to school together. And there will be no reason to deny education to the girls inside Afghanistan or outside of Afghanistan. We need to come up with a minimum standard of governance for all the countries in this region. And on top of that, all countries in this part of the world should look at each other as an equal. No one should have unjustified territorial ambition against the other. No one should be justified in denying the integrity of sovereignty as well as territorial integrity to the other side. And this whole region being more integrated for the betterment of the people in this region should become a shining example of industrial excellence and innovative breakthroughs for the benefit of mankind as a whole.
Victor Gao, how does China view the relationship between Pakistan and the US?
Well, China will have no problem if Pakistani-American friendships are developed for their mutual benefit as well as for global peace and stability. So I think the Pakistani government and the people are sophisticated enough to handle this very carefully to achieve the best case scenario for Pakistan. That is better relations with the United States, continued friendship and solidarity with China.
Now, economic technology access is the new battlefield. In your point of view, how can Pakistan and China work together to develop joint technological and digital capacity?
Absolutely. I think the fact that China and Pakistan are jointly producing fighter planes is a good example of economic and technological cooperation between our two countries. And the fact that China is helping training a Pakistani taikonaut or cosmonaut is, again, a very important example. And the fact that Pakistan and China already cooperated with each other in the moon landing expedition, for example, and the extraction of the soil from the surface of the moon is another example. I hope such cooperation will be further expanded, and especially in the AI area, because, as I mentioned, don't be surprised if you never find yourself on the wrong side of the AI divide. And in this regard, because China's leading position in this AI transformation, I hope Pakistan and China will really close rank and share everything we can generate for the mutual benefit of our two countries. In addition, China is the leading manufacturing nation in the world. China's manufacturing output is larger than the combined amount of US, Japan, and EU together. That means by closely cooperating with China, Pakistan can really benefit from some transfer of sophisticated manufacturing capabilities. On the other hand, China's appeal that Pakistan become more stable, and I hope the government, the people, and the military in Pakistan will really do a wonderful job in making sure that terrorism, or even sometimes influenced by foreign forces, will not be given a free hand in killing innocent people in Pakistan.
Dr. Victor Zhikai, I've taken a lot of your time, so this is going to be my last question to you. How does China see Pakistan's role and strategic presence and posture in the region post the May conflict with India?
Well, the May the 7th aerial battle between Pakistan and India is the largest aerial battle in human history over the past several decades. And the evidence is very clear and generally acknowledged by everyone in the world except in India that there is only one winner and there is only one loser. And I told the Indian people on their channel that the winner is not India and the loser is not Pakistan. Now, on your very distinguished channel here in Pakistan, let me make the same point. Pakistan is the winner and India is the loser. And the fact that President Trump reaffirmed what I said on Indian television is very profound. And India need to really learn a big lesson, not only in terms of the lower quality of their military defense system, for example, but more importantly, about their attitude, how to deal with their neighboring countries and how to avoid wearing wars on their lips, and how to deal with Pakistan with dignity, decency, and equal treatment. This is what China looks at this whole aerial battle. And I think if there is any other country in the world which is excited about the victory of the Pakistanis, it is China, because the Pakistani military is using whatever that is jointly produced between China and Pakistan for our fighters. Pakistani military is also using China-supplied weapons and systems. And all this proves that China-Pakistani solidarity and cooperation has been tested in real fire and has proven to be a success story. And I hope in the coming years and decades, such China-Pakistani cooperation will be deepened and expanded. And we will reach a point where there will be no foreign enemies around Pakistani border which will dare to impose another war on Pakistan. And hopefully this will, in its turn, make sure that the South Asia region as a whole will enjoy more solidarity and prosperity and peace and stability. Now, this is a joint success and victory for Pakistan as well as for China. And the Chinese people are equally thrilled and excited about the Pakistani victory. Congratulations to the Pakistani people, congratulations to the Pakistani armed forces, and to the Pakistani government.
Thank you very much for those words, Victor Gao. Thank you for your insights. The stakes, of course, for Pakistan, China and the wider region are profound, and the choices made now are going to shape South Asia's future for generations to come. Thank you again so very much, Dr. Victor Gao, to have joined us.
Thank you very much, Omar. Thank you for giving me the privilege.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, let's turn to the Middle East and North Africa. Now, tonight we turn to Gaza, where despite the agreed ceasefire framework between Israel and Palestine, Israeli forces continue their strikes and ground incursions, raising deep concerns about the sincerity of the truce and the future of any peace negotiation whatsoever. Now, civilian neighborhoods, refugee camps and medical facilities remain under threat, while at the same time humanitarian agencies have warned that aid is still being restricted, pushing an already devastated population to the brink of collapse. As the world watches, this gap that exists between diplomatic rhetoric and reality on the ground has never been wider. The question now is not only whether the ceasefire can hold, but whether the international system has the will or the capacity to enforce accountability. We speak tonight to understand what this means for Gaza, for the region, and for the future of mediation efforts going forward. At least 2 people, of course, including a child, have been killed as Israeli air raids have hit the eastern areas of Gaza City, as well as the southern part of the besieged enclave. Israeli attacks have also continued in the occupied West Bank. Israel's war on Gaza has now killed at least 68,875 Palestinians and has wounded 170,679 since October of 2023. This is something that the world is watching and, of course, seeing and observing in real time. We have been watching this since the 7th of October 2023, and we continue to watch it in this day as well, despite this agreement. We've been joined by Bakr Younas. He's an Arab journalist. Bakr, thank you very much, brother, to have joined us. Despite this ceasefire framework, Israel continues aerial and ground operations inside of Gaza. In your point of view, what does this ongoing use of force indicate about Israel's real intentions regarding the ceasefire and long-term military objectives?
So we have to understand, first of all, that we are not dealing with a state. We are not dealing with people who actually abide by the law. We are dealing with an occupiers. We are dealing with criminals who actually have been committing crimes on the land of Palestine since they came to Palestine, since they have occupied Palestine since 1948, when the international community, when the United Nations have accepted this occupation and named it as a state, and they give this Israel the name of those occupiers. So those occupiers, those criminals will never obey the rules. They will never obey any laws. They will never accept any kind of ceasefire. Actually, this is the way they live. We have to understand that this is their strategy. Their main strategy is to keep killing Palestinians. If not Palestinians, they will keep killing other people. They are attacking Syria, they are attacking Lebanon, they are attacking Yemen, they are attacking other places. So it is in their strategy that they have to keep their attacks. They have to keep this killing strategy going on to prevail in their thoughts, in their way of living. They are not accepting the others. They don't accept any coexistence of any other people. They believe that they are the chosen ones. They believe that they are above every law, they are above everything. So that's why they will not come to a ceasefire treaty. They will not come to any deal. They will not accept any deal unless and until these deals mean that we are their own servant and we are obeying them, which the Palestinians will never accept. So that's the main point. They have never accepted the Israelis, the so-called Israelis, those occupiers, those criminals who keep saying that they want peace, that they are looking for peace. Actually, they are the criminals, and we, unfortunately, even the international community, they are not yet understanding the way they think. They are giving them deals, they are giving them more space to stay on the ground, which is totally wrong. We should deal with them as an occupier. We should deal with them as the criminals. We should work on the way to stop them, to put them in the court of law. Unless and until those people will not be held accountable for their criminal, for the crimes, for this criminal act, they will continue doing what they're doing because that's what they believe in.
All right. Bakr, reports from Gaza indicate renewed strikes on civilian areas, on refugee camps and hospitals. How does the international community, in your point of view, justify its silence when these violations are directly breaching international humanitarian law?
The international community have stopped doing anything. Actually, have not done anything since the occupation of Palestine. They are not doing anything since these 2 years attacks. It's not only yesterday or day before yesterday. It's not only today. It's since the occupation of Palestine. These crimes are continuing, and now we are seeing it on every day since 2 years. What the international have done? What the international community have done? They have done nothing. Issuing statements, condemnations. That is not the way you act against the criminals. Those are criminals, and we have to, the international community should move against them militarily. They should hold them accountable. They should at least ask to dismantle their armed forces, their arms. If not, those people should hold accountable for their acts. At least the support, the military support, the aid that is coming to them should stop. But unfortunately, the international community, the United Nations, even the United States, none of their supplies or their aid or their support militarily and in different countries support have never stopped to the Israelis. So of course they will continue what they're doing because they are having support. They're having actually a full support politically, militarily, and on the other side, there is always a blame on the Palestinian side. There is always asking, and there was always an ordering the Palestinians. You have to stop. You have to stop fighting. Why you are doing this? Why are you fighting? But they are not seeing what things are doing and not actually stopping what they say is doing. So we dealing with the people who never.
Okay, there's some kind of a technical glitch, but I'll go to my next question in this case. Humanitarian agencies, Bakr, are warning that aid deliveries are restricted and also inconsistent. Now, is Israel using humanitarian access as a bargaining tool in your point of view, and what does that mean for the civilian population that is already on the brink of famine?
These 2 years. And actually was since almost 18 years now. So who have done, who have stopped, who have dealt with any like none.
All right, it's kind of a technical glitch as far as Bakr is concerned. Thank you very much, Bakr, to have joined us. And we have learned some new information regarding, of course, Palestine. But the information that we are learning is an extension of what we are already seeing, already witnessing, already watching since so many months, as far as the brutalities that are being perpetrated on the helpless Palestinians and continue to happen even beyond this ceasefire agreement. Israel needs to be put to task, and Israel needs to be told it has to adhere to all the commitments that it has made under the ceasefire agreement. Now, let's move on to the West. Now, the US Senate has taken an initial procedural step towards ending the ongoing government shutdown. We all know that this is the longest government shutdown in US history, which has severely disrupted federal services, it has disrupted air travel and food assistance programs. Is this going to help somehow the current situation? Are all the 100,000 jobs that have been lost by the people or those who are not being paid, will that kind of help them? Will this move in the right direction or not? To answer all of these questions, we've been joined by our Pakistan TV correspondent all the way from the US, Gaitty. Gaitty, thank you very much to have joined us. This compromise that we are seeing signals of, does this mean a growing divide within the Democratic Party between the moderates that are focused on reopening the government quickly, as well as the progressives that insist on holding the line as far as policy demands are concerned?
Well, Umar, as you just mentioned, it happens to be the longest ever shutdown in history of United States so far. So we have entered beyond 40 days probably. So of course they have experienced shutdown for a week, 2 weeks, and the longest one before this one was also during President Trump's first tenure as a president. That went on for 35 days. But this is something new and getting worse. So the problem is that what we are seeing here is definitely a difference of opinion among 8 Democrat policy makers, so who decided finally to go ahead with the Republicans on this issue. Because, there are so many things that are being affected by this shutdown, this prolonged shutdown to be precise, that they have to answer. They are, of course, answerable to their voters in their respective states. So we see that there are Democrats from Nevada, then New Hampshire, then one is from Maine. So they are considered centrist Democrats. So basically, they were definitely facing pressure from the top leadership that was not interested in going ahead or giving any sort of concession to Republicans at this point, because they have a very loaded agenda, of course, that they want to push now, which focuses on ensuring that people will keep getting the health facilities, especially the underprivileged ones, and the food stamps. That is a very basic kind of, safety network that government of America provides to different programs. So yes, situation is, still quite fluid. We don't know if they'll be able to get it through with, or will there be more debates? There will be a lot of back and forth. So this will not resolve overnight, as I see it. Yes.
All right, Gaitty, also I'd like to understand how will the delayed vote on healthcare subsidies affect millions of Americans who could face rising premiums as early as January, and what political risks does that create for both the Democrats and the Republicans?
The Republican Party and has been very open about it from the very start, and this is kind of this is a consensus sort of among the Republican legislators, that they do not want to extensively fund this program, which is the healthcare program, or they sometimes call it the Obamacare health program. So there is no difference opinion, much of a difference of opinion there among Republicans, unfortunately, especially for the people who heavily depend on this subsidy. So they are quite clear, and they have been pursuing it from the very start. They have been pushing it, and this is the reason that Democrats had to take a very, strong and stance this time, because there were. We have seen that there was voting before that too. Despite the criticism that Democrats faced at that time, they went ahead because they knew that at the end of the day, millions of people will be affected. The federal workers, the agencies are shutting down, and there are like payments that are stuck in so many departments. So they were trying to push it in their what they wanted for their constituents, like the Democrats, because they've always taken pride in actually expanding the Obamacare plan. But on the other hand, Republicans have been very clear that they want to cut it down and phase it out at some point, keep it to very minimal. So this has been a tug of war that has been going on for quite some time now. This is the reason we are seeing this spilling out in such an ugly manner, that it has completely brought the machinery to halt in the USA.
Gaitty, with federal services stalled, flights disrupted, and of course food assistance also being affected, majorly delayed as well, has public pressure, in your point of view, now become the decisive factor pushing lawmakers towards a deal?
I think it could be a reason, because I'm sure you have also read that federal court has also weighed on President Trump's instructions for the states to stop those food stamps. So they are very important in terms of the people who are affected, the number of people who are affected. So if agriculture department that basically issued that directive is asking the states, it doesn't matter if it's a blue state or a red state, so if they have to stop issuing those stamps that are so important. That's this kind of sustenance for millions of people in the United States. So this definitely adds pressure on the Democratic legislators, and I think we are seeing that impact in the form of 8 Democrat congressmen and women, departing from the party lines and crossing party line for on this issue. But still, as I said, there are so many things that needs to be worked on and to be talked about before they reach a complete agreement. For now, that this we can say that Democrats have shown like that this bunch of Democrats have shown that there might be a way forward without taking the whole Democratic Party on on the side of Republicans. Still, it is very tricky because once this voting is over, the whole package will go back to the House of Representatives. They have to review it again. There could be a debate. It depends how long would it take to debate on that, or would they just bulldoze it, send it back to the Senate for the final approval. So these next few days will be very important. Yes.
Next few days are going to be very important. I think this is what we are all going to look forward to. All eyes open, all ears open as well. And of course, we'll be relying on your information as well. Gaitty, thank you very much to have joined us all the way from the US to give us this latest bit of information. We'll end with another in that regards the West as well. The Director General of the British Broadcasting Corporation, Tim Davie, and the Chief Executive of News, Deborah Turnus, have resigned following criticism over bias at the corporation, including in the way it edited a speech by US States President Donald Trump. Now, the BBC has been embroiled in this spate of allegations that it had failed to maintain a political neutrality in its reporting. It also included in its coverage of Trump, the Israel-Hamas war, and over transgender issues. Now, in the most recent controversy, the Daily Telegraph reported for days on an internal document that was produced by a former BBC advisor on standards who had listed a raft of errors, including in the way a speech by Trump on January 6, 2021 was edited. The document suggested that the flagship Panorama program had edited 2 parts on Trump's speech together, so he appeared to encourage the Capitol Hill riots of January 2021. This is entirely my decision, and I remain very thankful to the chair and board for their unswerving and unanimous support throughout my entire tenure. This was what was said by the BBC DG. But of course, it has stirred a hornet's nest. And of course, there has been also the reaction by Trump, who has thanked Telegraph for the way Telegraph exposed the BBC journalists and the BBC point of view on this issue that is very important to the US. This, ladies and gentlemen, brings us to the end of today's Beyond Borders. It has been an exciting journey today as well. It was the first day of the week. And this is what we'll continue to do throughout the week, throughout these 4 days, that we bring to you the latest from the world, from South Asia, Central Asia, and the Middle East, as well as the West. We'll bring you stories without borders and boundaries. We'll bring you stories that matter in this changing world, and we'll bring you them unedited and unfiltered. Stay tuned for more coming your way right here on Pakistan TV. Allah Hafiz.